Welcome, fans of the Justice League universe. My name is Sam, and I am joined here with my good friend Nick, and we are going to be doing an audio commentary for the film Shazam, directed by David Sandberg. So if you want to cue the movie up and watch along with us, we're going to pause it at the DC logo. So if you start the movie, you'll see some lightning, the Warner Brothers logo floating through, and the New Line Cinema comes up. And then right as soon as you see the next logo, which is the DC logo, right when it appears, go ahead and pause it. It's about 16 seconds or 17 seconds. And we will get started there in a moment. But Nick, first of all, thanks for being here. And I wanted to start with just what was your overall reaction? How did you emotionally feel after seeing Shazam?
I mean, I liked it. It's just not a Zack Snyder movie. But outside of that, I like watching it. It's fun, good time. It's a comic book movie. What do you want? What do you want, man? Comic book movie.
Yeah.
Just your mind's in it.
Yep, and we have our Man of Steel and Batman v Superman already, but not every movie is that, and maybe not every movie should be that, although we love Zack Snyder a lot here. But yeah, it's really going for a whole different kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed it as well. I'll talk more about that as we get going. One thing that I've really enjoyed with this movie, though, is now that it's on home media, I can watch it with my kids and even my wife, and actually like my whole family is like really liking this movie. I think my kids have watched it 3 times already.
It's come up for me recently. We like to watch a lot of Christmas movies and stuff every year, and I'm making like an ultra playlist of movies and like TV specials, and I think I'm gonna throw Shazam in there. It's the first like sort of Christmas movie for DC since Batman Returns.
Batman Returns, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be a nice companion to that and like Iron Man 3.
Yeah, and I was just talking to somebody who grew up in Philadelphia, and I was like, oh, you should see Shazam. That takes place in a lot of Philadelphia scenes in there. So definitely has some nice things we can connect to others. But let's go ahead and get started with the movie. We can talk more as we're going, obviously. So right at the 17-second mark when the DC logo appears, we're going to do 3, 2, 1, and then hit play. So we'll do that together. 3, 2, 1, play.
Yeah, this is a pretty good start for the movie, a nice strong start.
Yeah, it sets the mood here. I like the color scheme, the reds on it. I do miss the characters though, like the animation with Batman throwing the Batarang and then Wonder Woman's lasso and stuff. They didn't. I guess they said they just forgot to put that in for this movie. It's kind of weird to forget to do that, but
I don't know about. Is that what they said? Like, is that a quote?
Like on Twitter, it was either Sandberg or somebody from the teams. All right, Sandberg, I think, said like, "Oh, it's not in there because I forgot to put it in." Is what he said.
Huh.
But that could be just explaining it.
Right?
Yeah, yep, 70s. I like that Magic 8 Ball.
I like the hard dates.
Yeah.
Yo, it's Lex Luthor's dad. It's Lionel Luthor.
Yeah, that angry dad. He's pretty good at that. The Magic 8 Ball, though, is not only like something from the 70s era, but it right away kind of just winks at the audience that this is going to be a movie that involves magic.
Yeah.
But so as we go through this movie is definitely doing stuff different than Snyder. So like it's pretty obvious with stuff. So like right away, they're not being subtle. They're showing the brother and the dad are both kind of bullies and mean to the younger Thad. So I mean, it's really, really obvious what they're doing, what they're setting up, but I also like it a lot. I mean, it is effective. You feel bad for young Thad and like that he's getting picked on and he's the little guy here. So it gives us a way to kind of connect with who ends up being the villain.
Well, it also fits the DC, well, at least the DC movie theme of how important family is to your development, your parents, your brothers and sisters. Yeah. And if you have a shitty family, you got a lot on your plate to deal with. Yeah.
Yeah, and it also follows the DC pattern of showing characters as young kids, not just everything is in adulthood. But this is, I think...
you know what? Yeah. It's good that you bring that up because, Billy is just a kid, so there's not... The movie just is his childhood. So, yeah, that's a good point. Show us Sivana as a kid, yeah. Mm-hmm. Which I'm pretty sure this is from the Jeff Johns Shazam run. Boy, I probably should have read that before we watched it.
So I read it when it was coming out. Like it was in the back of Justice League, and I was reading Justice League at the time. Yeah. So I do like it. I like Jeff Johns in his comic book writing, but I have not reread it since seeing the movie. So that will be fun to read it. I kind of like reading the comics more after the movie anyway, rather than like reading them in advance of the movie.
Yeah, if you've read them, you've read them. But if you like read something in advance of a movie to prepare for it, in some ways, you're just setting yourself up to be pissed off if the movie wasn't more like the book. But then you go back and read it after the movie, you're like, whoa, what a cool reference that I didn't realize was in the movie.
That's what I like doing. I like seeing the connections afterward rather than going in, and I don't really like checking the movie against the comic, or against a novel or whatever. Yeah.
They're all their own stories. They're all their own individual story. Every individual comic run, every movie, they're all separate things. The thing that ties them together is like the theme and the character and the setting. Like outside of that, cast away your expectations.
Yeah.
You're going to disappoint yourself.
So right here, the scene, it's kind of, a trope in superhero movies. You have your initial scene sets up the threat, or it sets up the person who's going to eventually be the villain. So this one, we see the sins, we see the monsters, we also see Thad. But this scene does an additional thing as well, which is establish the Rock of Eternity as a setting. And this is an important setting in the movie, but it's also an important setting just for magic and for Shazam mythology overall.
Oh, the DC mythology.
Yeah. So it's kind of doing, the villain setup, but also, letting us know this place that's going to be key. And also seeing the test, right? So we can get the parallelism of Thad getting tested like this, and then later Billy getting tested. It's interesting that later, when Billy's getting tested, I think also the Wizard is just kind of desperate at that point. He needs somebody, but we can talk about that more when we get to it.
Yeah.
I think at this point he has really high standards of who he's going to have his champion. He doesn't want to make a mistake again. So he's really high standards, but later on when Billy's there, it's like, oh, you're kind of out of time, so you just need anybody you can find. It's how I viewed it.
My only question is, how did he not pull Clark Kent into, like a young Clark Kent into the Rock? That's what I don't get. That's my only thing.
One thing. Right. I've seen other people asking that too. Like, if Clark Kent is pure of heart, then how come this, seeking spell never found him or anything like that? But, there's a lot we don't really know about the seeking spell and really what it's looking for. And he says in dialogue you have to be pure of heart, but, what does that mean? And
one thing I like about the magic in this movie is there do seem to be rules to it, which is something I'm looking for in this specific series of movies.
Yeah.
And so maybe hey, it's magic. Maybe the whole magic net was just like, no, this man's destiny lies along another path. I could see that.
Right. Yeah. Or there might be a kind of bias towards humans, and the whole magic might be kind of tied up with humanity and Earth rather than aliens and stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point too. It's not like he's pulling Thanagarians into the...
Right. It's not universal, yeah. Yeah, we could talk more about the magic stuff later because I do have some thoughts on that. But in terms of this accident, I thought it was filmed really well. Like, you have the near accident, and then you kind of start to let a sigh of relief, and then the accident happens. I thought it was a really cool kind of just planning for the scene.
Yeah, it was done really well.
There's a slight continuity error with the windshield where, like, the car is landing and the windshield's not broken out, but then now it is broken out right there. But for me, those kinds of things are never a big deal at all.
That.
Yeah, I noticed it, like, upon rewatching it. And some people will be like, oh, that's bad filmmaking. Because I'm like, no, like, continuity errors are not what makes a film good or bad. It's a lot of more important stuff than that.
People had any idea what goes into shooting just 5 minutes.
Yeah. Now here I wasn't sure if his dad was going to be dead or whatever, but he comes up and he is kind of still breathing and trying to talk, but he does survive, obviously, later, we see. Yeah, and I said this in our analysis episode, but I still will reiterate it here. This is also just wrong. It's not Thad's fault. Like, it's the driver's responsibility to make sure the vehicle is in a safe, circumstance. It doesn't matter how much a kid is yelling
really
in the back.
Yeah, this movie really wants us to know what a dick his dad is and brother.
Yeah.
Which that's what I was saying. I mean, like, it's family is important.
Yeah. I like the little find us thing, too, which just plants that seed about, like, okay, we see the find us and then we see the monsters again, so we know, like, oh, those monsters still see an opening here with Thad. I like the voices, too, by the way, the voices of the sins. They just have a really rich, resonant sound to them. It's really cool.
They just sound cool, but I can't visually tell them apart.
Yeah.
It's so weird. They're different shapes and they have different silhouettes, but like you never really see their silhouettes and shapes. So they're just
Oh yeah.
until the very end of the movie.
Visually, I do think they could have been more distinct. Yeah.
Yeah.
One.
Well, that's like they're all very distinct, but you just can't see it. It's too muddy. I don't know what it is.
Right. Right. One really quick thing for that last scene, though. One thing that to me was a little bit confusing was the Sins and the Wizard kind of say like you're running out of time, like you're getting weak, and pretty soon we're going to be free. So it kind of feels like, oh, we're getting down to the wire. And then the Wizard says, find me a hero or champion, no matter how long it takes. And I was like, wait, no matter how long it takes? I thought you were just talking about how the time is running out. And even if time for them means like decades, not like days or months, still it was weird for me to say, like, time is running short, but also take as long as you want to find the champion. So I thought that was a little bit weird, but not a big deal. So I talked right over, though, the intro here of Billy Batson, young Billy Batson here. He's kind of overdoing it at the top with like holy moly and stuff, but I think that's because he's trying to dupe these cops, so he is kind of overacting. And I think this...
oh, no, well, it totally goes back to like, OG Billy Batson and Fawcett Comics, who really was like a, gosh, gee willikers.
Yeah, you're right. So they could be tapping into that as well. And I think he has to kind of ham it up a little bit so that Zachary Levi feels like the same character. Because Zachary Levi is definitely, going to ham it up and going to have a lot of energy in his performance and stuff. So right here, Asher Angel needs to like bring a little bit of extra energy so that Zachary Levi has room to do that as well.
I think they do a really good job of meeting each other in the middle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the way that I kind of reconciled the fact that Zachary Levi has way more energy and stuff than Asher Angel does is because he's so excited to have the powers. So like when they're trying stuff out and doing stuff, I think like, oh, he's really opening up and excited because he's so like thrilled with what he's able to do and kind of fascinated by it. So it does just turn him into a different energy level.
They really capture something with Billy, which is the whole like, if life doesn't treat you super great, you're not going to be an especially happy person, but something good happens to him. And yeah, Zachary Levi's performance, he really captures that like, oh wow, this is actually really cool. And it's something I appreciate about the movie, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, also this scene.
Yeah, very young Billy here.
Well, and his mom, I like how this plays out. This is one of those kind of Rashomon memories. Mm-hmm. It's a little different at the end of the movie. So I like that.
Yeah, I like that too, kind of revisiting this twice from two different perspectives, kind of subtle differences.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this kind of also, you said the family thing is important kind of for the DCU overall. I mean, so we saw Thad getting bullied by his family, and now we can kind of see Billy is looking for his family. He's been kind of separated from his family. So in both cases, like it's kind of like what's better, to have a crummy family or to just not have one at all. And neither one is ideal, but we can kind of empathize with both characters in that.
Yeah.
So when I was watching this right away, I knew the mom had ditched him because I'm like, there's no way. Like, nobody takes him and kidnaps him or something like that. Like, he's just looking for his mom. And then when he finds the police, I'm like, oh, yeah, the police would reunite the mother and the child easily. So the fact that they were never reunited, I knew right away the mom must be gone. Like, right here at this point, I'm like, yeah, if a mom is looking for her son and is telling people, I'm looking for my son, and the police have a kid right there, they would get reunited. So for me, I hope that the filmmakers didn't intend it to be like a reveal later that she willingly let him go. And I don't think the filmmakers tried to make that a secret because like even the like social worker says like, I don't think your mom wants you, kid. Like you need to come to terms with that. So I think everybody kind of knows the mom left him on purpose.
Everyone except for the 14-year-old kid, which like,
right.
Yeah, that checks out.
But this is very clear for filmmaking purposes. This is very clear to set motivation for your main character, right? So he wants to find his mom. He's alone. He's in foster families and stuff, and he's looking for his mom. So again, it's not Snyder level complexity and stuff,
Right.
but it's very effective filmmaking where we see a character and we know what he wants. He wants to find his mother, or at least he wants to find a family. Is really what he wants.
Yeah. That's a good reveal.
Nice. It's kind of a classic joke, but well executed. I like the banter with the police officer too. Like I like it that the police officer is not coming down really hard on him because he didn't really damage anything or hurt anybody. But the police officer is kind of like, "Come on, kid." I liked the dynamic that they had between the police in here. So this actress was also in Lights Out, David Sandberg's earlier movie, and she also played a social worker in that movie. So it's kind of like a Sandberg universe.
That's funny. It wasn't the same lady, was it? Because like there was that close up on the nameplate, and I don't know what E.D. Glover is a reference to.
It maybe is even the same character name. That would be
funny.
Yeah, that would be cool. Oh yeah, it is the same one. Emma Glover. It's the same name even.
This establishes Billy as being like resourceful and capable. I like that. That's good. That's good writing.
Yeah, I like this too. How the Vasquez family is like first seen from Billy's perspective of them out in the hall. Like I like that as the introduction to him. Like we're introduced to them through Billy. This film overall had a really good point of view. We've talked about this in like past analysis, and like I criticized Suicide Squad for not having a clear point of view character, but this one we really see things from Billy's point of view.
I think it's supposed to be Harley Quinn, but that doesn't really like come through.
No, like sometimes it's definitely Deadshot, sometimes it's Rick Flag, and then sometimes it's Harley.
Yeah, that's a complicated conversation because I'm not convinced that a movie has to have just one. Like Game of Thrones, if you like read those books, every chapter is literally a different person. I don't.
Yeah. No, it's not like a rule that you have to have one, but if you're gonna have multiple, you have to handle it well, and you have to know like why you're doing that. And if you want it to be kind of coherent, it's sort of simpler to have the one clear character that you are kind of seeing things from their perspective.
Yeah.
But this one we're gonna meet the foster kids through the eyes of Billy as he's meeting them. So it's really just kind of simple but effective to do it that way. This is yeah. Eugene's pretty good. All the kids I think really come across well. Like I like all of the kids for different reasons. Darla's kind of the crowd favorite, but
yeah, they're very well realized as characters, well written, well acted. They're a very good cast.
Yeah, and you might criticize it and say like, well, they don't have a lot of three-dimensional complexity and stuff. It's like, but they're the supporting characters, so they work well as a group where they each have their different thing, and their dynamics between each other is good. But yeah, there's not enough room in this movie to give all of them three-dimensional kinds of things. But they do a really nice job with what they each have. They each have personality. They each have kind of something that they're aiming for or looking for, and it all does kind of come together nicely at the end.
And right here, we see an example of them helping each other. Like a family. It's very nice. Good writing. Good scene.
Yeah, and for me, I was excited here that she was talking to a mathematics department because I work at a university in mathematics area. So
Sam is a maths professor. We're getting nerds.
But this is also, I think, one of the themes of the movie that we talked about in our analysis episode about finding family and kind of making family. Like she says, I can make that happen wherever I am. But I think that's also what the movie is kind of trying to say. You can make your family with the people that are around you. Yeah, I like the parents too. They just seem very down to earth and just very like go with the flow and loving kind of people. I think there's really cool characterization for them. And I think a lot of this stuff is also based on the Jeff Johns New 52 Shazam.
I'm pretty sure this movie is like 75% Jeff Johns, like new Shazam.
And then we get the most important of the family members, which is Freddy. And I really like this introduction to Freddy, where she says, "Please don't say anything weird," which already is telling the audience that Freddy is kind of a weird, quirky guy. And then he rises to the occasion by giving a very weird little anecdote that's just on his mind. So it's just a great way to meet the character.
Yeah.
And this, oh, he's got the Aquaman shirt on. Okay, so.
Well, where would you get an Aquaman shirt? I can understand a Batman or a Superman shirt, but like, who has even seen the Aquaman logo? I'm sorry. I come from that pedigree, man.
Yeah, so, well, we can think it through a little bit. So, like, this is after Justice League. So, would anybody have witnessed his stuff in Justice League?
Because he was in Russia.
Yeah, and then it was in, like, Iceland and then Russia. Well, he did make a quick appearance in Gotham Harbor or whatever, but nobody would have really seen him there, right?
In Aquaman, like, people know who he is, so I guess.
Oh yeah, so yeah, we have all of Aquaman before this. So Aquaman, when he gets his whole costume and stuff, he's underwater. But maybe from the end of Aquaman to here, somebody spotted something and saw him with that. Yeah, I don't know. There's a few months' time from the end of Aquaman to here where something public could have happened, where people became aware of Aquaman.
Yeah, I can see that.
They were talking about him kind of on the news reports in Aquaman. We talked through the Batarang, by the way, which is really cool. Batarang connects to the universe and comes up later, and then the Superman bullet, of course. So it firmly puts us in the same universe as those ones.
I like the Superman bullet. This movie, I think this and Suicide Squad are the two that kind of utilize this universe the best. Like all the different crazy things that are going on in it. That's what I like about both of these movies, both this and Suicide Squad, which is just how much it's like this is a very strange world that is familiar yet very different. I love the idea of collecting Superman bullets.
Yeah, that's cool. And there would be kids that are like super fans of them, if teenagers, if there were superheroes and Batman and stuff around, teenagers would definitely form fan bases about it and stuff like that.
Do you think kids in Gotham are like afraid of Batman, but like everywhere else in the country, people think Batman's cool?
Yeah, that's probably right. Because if you actually could run into him, that would be kind of scary. But if you're removed from him, he probably just seems like a really cool idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh.
Yeah, she acted that really well. And I really like Freddy's acting here, too, where he's kind of, like, consoling Darla, which is sweet. And sort of Freddy's body language says, like, yeah, she's a little sensitive, but you could have maybe not been such a jerk, Even though Billy wasn't intending to be a jerk. And Billy seems genuinely sorry about it as soon as it happens. But so this was also a scene that I enjoyed because I also do like interview research as part of my job, although I never have it set up like this. I never have a huge giant screen with the interview subject and like wandering around with a clipboard and like it seems more like what somebody would think interview research is like instead of what interview research actually is like.
That's I just feel like it would have been a little different in a Snyder movie. Oh man.
Yeah. You also wouldn't, with an interview subject, already show them a mock-up of what you think they saw, because that would be like leading the witness. Like, is this what you saw? Oh, yeah, that is what I saw. Like, rather than you'd want them to describe it, independently, whiwhich maybe they did before. But
maybe Savannah's just a bad scientist. I don't know.
I do like the reveal out of the shadows.
That would be completely consistent with his character in this movie. He really is like trying to force this.
Yeah,
also,
true.
Rules. Aside, Sinestro here rules.
Mm-hmm.
He's been in. Is this his third comic book franchise? Green Lantern,
was it? Yeah,
and this.
Right. Yeah.
That's just something else.
No, I think that's right. At least those ones. Yeah. I like him leaning forward, though, and having the magic 8-ball and stuff. It's very obvious, but it's also effective to just tie the kid together with this and leaning out of the shadows is kind of a nice way to have him come into the scene. But this was convenient. He gets to see the video recording and put it all together.
She seems so familiar. Why does she seem familiar?
Yeah, she does. Yeah. Not that I know of, but I agree. She does seem like, it seems like I've seen her somewhere else. Oh, yeah.
Yes, she's insane. We couldn't have figured this out before. That door is a cool prop.
Yeah, I like, my kids, when they were watching this, they were sort of, like, how does that work? And I said magic. And then, like, later in his cell when he's trying to draw the symbols, they're like, why doesn't that work? And I, can just say, like, well, the magic doesn't want it to work now, or the door's locked so you can't open it, or whatever. You said the magic is kind of cool in this movie, and I like how the magic for this character, the magic is not like incantations and saying spells. It's more like tapping into some energy and powers. And a lot of it's lightning based. Yeah. And I like it that they save, like, for Zatanna or something else that might have more like the spoken spells kind of magic. Or John Constantine or something.
I think, so going back to why he couldn't get back into the rock at the end of the movie, I think that's related to the whole intuition thing. Now that Billy is in control of the rock with everybody else, and is therefore at the beginning of this like 10,000 year cycle of power, it's probably just Billy's subconscious keeping him out.
Oh yeah.
I think that honestly, like, that works as an explanation for me, really.
Yeah. And for me, the 7x7 works as an explanation for why the symbols weren't working yet, and you had to do it 7 times, 7 symbols.
Yeah.
Just because to me, like, that symmetry kind of seems like, okay, that could be magic. Magic likes symmetry, or a perfect square. So that worked for me as well to kind of unlock it.
7's always like a lucky or magical number, even in like real world cultures.
Yeah.
Nice shot. Love those shots.
Yeah, very cool.
Guy walking through a door shot.
I was trying to think of Mark Strong too, by the way, and I think he was also in Kick-Ass, which would be another one. So that's actually 4.
Damn, I think you're right.
Yeah, the first one.
Oh, no.
For Kick-Ass.
Because because Josh Brolin, I think Josh Brolin is the one who's been in the most comic book movies. He was in Sin City. He was in
Jonah Hex, if you want to just do comic book movies.
Yeah, he was Jonah Hex. He was Cable. He was in Men in Black 3, which is a comic book movie, technically.
Yep.
And then there was a 5th one.
Avengers?
I think it's Josh Brolin with like 5.
Yeah. That's cool. So this is nice return to the wizard, right? And this is Thad. Savannah's been waiting for this, right? Like, he's been so desperate to just stick it to the wizard, who told him he would never be good enough. He's like, well, I'll show you. And again, instead of like trying to convince the wizard, say, I am good enough, you should give me your staff and your powers, he's like, nope, I'm going right for that evil thing. Which could be a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, the wizard told him he wasn't good enough and didn't believe in him, and that might have been what caused him to kind of turn towards the dark side.
Oh, I definitely think that's like a point that's being made. I think that's this is kind of an indictment of the wizard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the Jedi in the Star Wars prequels. Like, they're good guys, but they kind of screw everything up. So I think a lot of this is actually on the wizard.
Yeah, they called this the Eye, which then makes total sense here in just a second. I like how they go to the straight side shot for it when it goes into his eye.
Yeah.
And then I think in a moment here when they reveal it. By the way, I like also the light on that lightning emblem. But yeah, they do reveal it here. So see how like the left side of his face is in the darkness, and then we will gradually come over and then see the eye glowing. I like how they did that. Just good camera movement. So we see a little bit of him realizing his powers, but we don't get to see him figuring out his powers as much as we do for Billy, obviously, when he's learning his powers.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is his moment. Yep, he gets to let the wizard have it. He's had that pent up for a while.
So I like this set. They actually like rented out a high school for like 3 weeks or something.
Okay, I was gonna say it looks very realistic. Yeah.
That's actually, by the way, there's a lot of talk about the end of the movie about like how they couldn't get Henry Cavill or decided not to, or just randomly decided not to replace him with a different superhero, which wouldn't have really made sense to the story. I just want to get this out of the way. The reason Henry Cavill, there's an interview, and it's the Empire Film Podcast spoiler special for this movie. They interview a couple of the producers, and I think maybe David Sandberg or at least one of the writers. And they said what happened with that was they had this high school for like 2 or 3 weeks, and Henry Cavill's schedule didn't line up with it. That's it. It's as simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
Like they only had it for so long. He was like probably literally in a different country, and that's really all there is to it. The last line of the movie, you'll like this. The last line of the movie would have been Freddy saying to Superman, "I have so many questions," which is it's a line from Man of Steel.
From Man of Steel, yeah.
Hey, how did he not
That's
notice
good.
that car driving up that only truck on that empty street? That's sorry, nitpick, but
Distracted young kids, I guess we'll write it off to that.
Yeah,
kids
sure,
these days. Earlier, one really minor thing, but I like it a lot that I'm going to mention from the previous scene when that's funny. But when they were also walking away from the cafeteria, Freddy like throws his whole tray and silverware into the garbage, and I just like that. And again, I think it's a good moment for the character. Plus the flipping off the birds. We're getting a lot of good clues about what kind of person Freddy is, and it's a pretty entertaining kind of person.
Yeah.
I noticed right there when Billy turns around, it's right when the bully mentions the mother.
Yeah.
He makes a comment about your mother, and then that's when Billy turns around, because of course mother or lack of mother is a sensitive spot for him. So this is nice. We could see the foster brother, trying to stick up for him. So it's a little bit of a, showing Billy how, the foster families can still stick up for each other.
And they all go for Freddy, like all the other kids. So that's a good illustration of their characters. Yes.
This, yep. My kid, this is part of like why my kids love this movie, is like he gets to slide down that escalator railing there. Like my kids are little and they just like really eat that kind of stuff up.
It's weird that this is the movie that takes place in a real location. I don't know.
Oh yeah, you like Philadelphia? Yeah, that's true.
Why not Fawcett City? I thought usually they call it Fawcett City after the creator of, I don't know.
Yeah, the original comic publisher, was it?
Yes, Fawcett Comics, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I like this too. The same lights are streaking by as before, and then the cold ice kind of comes in. So right away we know like, the same thing is happening.
Is that like a Back to the Future thing? Like because
that it's cold, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, actually, like, serious question. Like, I wonder why. I wonder I'd like to know what the thought process is behind that. That's what I mean. Like, I think this movie, like Man of Steel, has hidden rules that it never gets into but are present. And I like that kind of thing. That's I live for that. That kind of Kubrick, there's actually a reason this is happening. But
right. So, like, the filmmakers all talked about why the windows ice up, but they don't tell us in the movie. It's just something that they talked about behind the scenes.
Yeah. Presumably, I'm sure they spent millions of dollars in these sequences. I'm sure that they thought about what they were doing. But that's what I mean. Something like ice is so specific that I feel like if you asked them, checking the map.
I like how epic they just make this feel. It's such a key moment for the character, and so I like how they kind of slow down, let us really sink into this moment. Notice the caterpillar is gone. I wonder what that's about. I just was actually rereading the Shazam 100-page special, and it has a Mr. Mind story in there. It was kind of entertaining.
He's Mr. Mind. I really only know of because of Kingdom Come. He's kind of an integral character to that.
Okay. Yeah, and I think he played a role in the 52, which was a comic series 10 years ago or so. It'd be interesting to see what they do with him.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right. Oh, I read that. I read that whole thing.
Yeah, it was a weekly, right? Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah. And it was a countdown. It was, 52. There was 52, and then there was countdown. Yeah, both of those. Yeah, 52 weeks of comics. Crazy.
Another thing I like with this scene, too, so, we're seeing it replay. The wizard is saying a lot of the same stuff. So this is when I was saying that at this point, the seeking spell, I think, kind of got desperate, or the wizard got desperate. It's I might not need somebody that's pure of heart. I just might need somebody that has a pretty good heart, because the sins are actually loose, and Savannah has the eye. So it's kind of I don't have time to find maybe the perfect person, because you could kind of nitpick and be like, well, does Billy really have pure heart and blah blah blah? But it's no, I think Billy, he could see a core of goodness or a potential of of being a good hero. And that was enough, because I think the wizard is pretty desperate. Pretty soon the sins are going to be ravaging across the whole earth. So,
you need somebody with guts.
Yeah. I like this also a DCEU thing, which is to kind of tell a history lesson, but in a unique visual style that matches the movie. So a lot of the previous ones did it, and this one it uses the kind of magic sparkles to tell the Black Adam kind of history. I'm curious if the Black Adam film is going to just be that story of when he became the champion and how it went, or if it's going to pick up somewhere else. It probably will be that story in the past.
That would actually be pretty cool. I bet I'm going to go with that'll be half of the movie.
I see. Yeah, that could work. I like how Billy here, earlier he made a joke about, I was supposed to get off at 30th or whatever, and now he's gross. He uses that line again later when Freddy throws the underwear. But I also like that Billy is being kind of sarcastic and kind of funny in this scene, because, again, it's laying the groundwork for Zachary Levi to do what he's going to do.
Yeah, you can see his defense mechanism.
This is really nice. So one thing that I did not catch the first time I watched it was here, where he says, here's the thrones of my brothers and sisters. And then when he talks about, basically opening it up to your brothers and sisters, I didn't see it, obviously here. I mean, I kind of guessed that the family was going to become the Shazamly, but I didn't notice this dialogue until I rewatched it, or until they show the flashback of it, that the wizard was really kind of trying to hint to him that you can have family and, brothers and sisters with you.
And I can't help. I wonder what his specialty was. Which letter of the word Shazam he was.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because he says he's the last of them, but we don't know if he was the greatest.
So he must be stamina.
Oh, that would make sense. Yeah.
Because I feel if wisdom was the last one, seriously, you probably would have had a much easier time finding a champion. That's why I feel I get the sense that seriously, I get the sense that he just is simply the last one for whatever reason. So by process of deduction, I guess he must be stamina. That makes the most sense. But that's why he's not especially equipped to find a replacement for them.
Mm-hmm. So the wizard did confirm what we were talking about, where he says you've been transformed to your full potential. So that explicitly confirms what we were saying about how a lot of it is about seeing the potential, and then either kind of another little funny cutscene.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
No, that's all right. I was just saying how it is about seeing the potential, and then you can either support it or not. I love the hitting his head, where he's not used to this height that he has.
Yeah, he's very human until he didn't put a huge dent in that thing. I like that. There's no he's just a human being with magical powers, whereas kind of, and then like Superman, on the other hand, is literally a man of steel, and he has to like be careful not to do that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a nice distinction. Damn, I just want to see them together in a movie. That's gonna be fun, like the next Justice League or something.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna kick ass, man. And then, of course, them fighting. You got to.
Yeah, that's also, by the way, be for my profession to see that poor grades in math. I just feel bad because a lot of math teaching is kind of boring and doesn't engage kids, and it looks like that has been the case for Pedro. Very minor, again, continuity error is when Billy threw the notebook in the garbage. It was open to the pages that he'd been looking at, and then when Pedro picks it up, it's closed, and there's like stuff around it. So somebody the only way that would have happened was somebody picked it out of the garbage and then closed it and then put it back in the garbage, which seems weird.
Eugene. Darling.
I like that, though. Don't scream. It's like, it says don't scream. It's letting us know we need to just get ready for some humor and some, banter, funny banter between these two.
Pretty good.
I like it, too, how they made Freddy's character where Freddy has his kind of humor that he brings to make the movie funny, and then Zachary Levi has his kind of humor, and so actually both of the characters are funny, just in their own way, rather than like making one a straight man and then one the really funny goofball. It's like, no, they made both of them funny, just in totally different ways.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's a good observation. I was thinking of Billy as a straight man, but yeah,
But like as Shazam, he's pretty funny. Like, Zachary Levi has a lot of the laughs. Like this is pretty funny. Like these adult hands.
This always happens. Now I'm just watching the movie.
Yeah. It's good time back though to where they had that conversation in the cafeteria about superheroes, and so Billy does know that Freddy. Yeah. So they did just enough to set up the fact that even though they're not close yet, Freddy is the person that Billy would go try to talk to. And it is his roommate.
It's like the only person he knows, but also, yeah, exactly.
I really like the effect there, the lights and stuff on the logo.
Yeah, that is really cool. That is a cool costume.
Yeah, it turned out really well. Like I wasn't sure, with the bulky lightning bolt and all of that, if it was going to work visually. It works good in the comics, but it really exceeded my expectations for the costume.
Yeah.
I mean, the DCEU, I think, has been doing a really good job with costumes overall. I like the Superman it, too, the reference to just Superman it, So, and having this, does he still have the Superman shirt on? Let's see that next time we look at him.
I've been reading a lot of Neil Adams, Denny O'Neil comics from the 70s, and I didn't really realize how... if you go back and read, like, Detective Comics and stuff, they really wanted to... And Action Comics, like, Action Comics #1, Superman deals with, like, a wife-beater, a guy that, like, literally kidnaps Lois, and also a corrupt senator. DC Comics have always been based in reality with fantastical elements added, and it irks me that people see the DC universe as like a magical universe where everything's crazy, which it often is. It often is depicted that way. Once you have 1,000 superheroes and like a bunch of different planets and stuff, everything's weird. But I really like stories where it's the real world, everything's normal, except there's a guy who can knock down a building if he pushes it really hard.
Mm-hmm. I love Freddy's face right there, by the way. Like Freddy's face, and he looks away and then looks back and his face is the same. I really, really like that. The whole gag there with invisibility I thought worked really well.
Yeah.
And then they find lightning powers. So when my kids were watching this, I mentioned how they like it so much. Right after the first time we watched it, my younger son, he just went over to a piece of paper and started drawing a picture of all Shazam's powers. So he has like the lightning coming out of his hands and stuff. And then he kind of like wanted to make sure he checked all the powers that he has and stuff. It's really a lot of fun. And my older son just loved that moment. He like busted out laughing, like he couldn't believe how he zoomed over there and stuff. It was filmed really effectively.
That's great.
Yeah, and it's a nice little, kind of reversing the trope. But I like it where you think she's in trouble, but actually she was handling herself pretty well.
Yeah.
And here's the start of a running joke here about the different names. So this one's Thundercrack.
Yeah.
A lot of different names come up. That's a fun part of the movie. Mr. Philadelphia. Power Boy. That's good. We got 3 of them in already. Thundercrack, Mr. Philadelphia, and Power Boy. It's good though. I like the blue and the red. I never really noticed how well that works. Freddy's blue jacket and then Shazam's red works really well in the nighttime scene.
I love Power Ranger style color coding. I'm a huge sucker for that.
Or like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when they, the cartoon introduced, just give me each a color and that'll be really easy to identify.
Well, but in this case, the Red Ranger always wearing red outside of his costume. His costume's blue. He's always wearing blue.
Oh, I see what you mean. Like between their civilian clothes and their, yeah.
Yeah. Like Darla's always wearing purple every time we see her, that kind of thing.
I guess this right here was the first day of filming, the first thing that they ever filmed for it.
Really?
Yeah. This is good. I like she's looking at the costume and doesn't even say anything. I liked how Freddy was behind there. So, like, this scene was in a lot of the marketing materials, asking to buy the beer. But what I didn't know until I saw the movie, and it cracked me up, was that Freddy was standing right behind him and was, like, waiting to see if it's going to work.
Yeah.
So to me, that I knew, usually I don't laugh when I've already seen it in trailers, but that one did make me laugh because it had that extra little punch to it that wasn't in the trailers. But this is good, too, here. I like how he's going to go try this out. And so at this point, they just know he has lightning, speed, and super strength. So this is still pretty risky, like to go up against some people with guns. But this is nice. Slow it down, take in what just happened. I like that connection, too, to the Superman bullet, and then to realize, they bounce off of me the same as Superman.
That's so magical. Magical. That's really special. Now he's got his own Superman bullet. I like that.
Yeah. December 8th, so there's those specific dates.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Yeah,
there's a lot of specific dates. Like, remember we found that there's like a date in Suicide Squad. Like, you can actually tell what day Suicide Squad happens on. It's like June or something.
Yeah. Now, this part, to me, is the key. You took something that was pretty funny already, and now this is, to me, like, what makes it really funny was the face part.
That's really good.
Yeah, the red marks and stuff were perfect, and the reaction.
You're dead.
And it's coming up with that stuff, like the face part, is to me like just what takes it from being like pretty funny, and I can chuckle at it and like it, to like just being really impressed with the scene. I guess they tied him up in the lights too before they threw him out.
Is Bars beer a real thing? Is that like a Philadelphia thing?
I'm not sure. I've only been to Philadelphia 2 times, I think.
I went there once for like a few hours. I spent most of my time in King of Prussia, so I don't know.
I do like that though, how the spit take with the beer. I like that because it's not as cool as kids think it is, in terms of taste.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Good scene, very good scene. And now here, I like like we mentioned Philadelphia, but they don't just, in passing have Philadelphia. They really tie this into the setting and the city of Philadelphia.
Yes, I like that about this movie a lot. That's and the other movies do that. They do that really well too. Like the Metropolis really feels different from Gotham.
Yeah.
And Midway feels different from both of them. But Philadelphia, hey, she's Philadelphia. Hey, Philadelphia. Not a thing.
I like the line here too about how I get why Rocky was trained to get up here, which is funny. It's like a misinterpretation of what Rocky at the top of the steps. It's like, yep, he did get to the top of the steps, but that was not like the purpose of him going to the top of the steps. But yeah, it's a nice city scene. Yeah, this has got to be worrying, right? You just took in this foster kid and now you can't even find him. But this is again a key theme. Is like part of it is to take a kid back, give them a second chance, right? Like Thad did not have a second chance, or but this family is saying like no, like part of being a family means we will take him back when even if he does something bad or something wrong, we'll still accept him in. And then it's nice here that Billy gets to hear what they're saying, right? So it's not just that the parents are saying it, but again, the point of view character is Billy. He's hearing them say, like, it's not a home till you call it a home, and we took Mary back, we'll take Billy back. So it's not just for the audience's sake. It's also Billy's can start to grow a little bit. And of course, bonding with Freddy, but this is funny. So yeah, I really liked this when Billy actually says night. Yeah, so like this, so as you can probably tell, like the humor in this film I thought was really good. Like, so obviously, like you said at the beginning, it's not a Zack Snyder film. Like, Zack Snyder film has humor, but it has a very different style of humor than this. This is like going...
Yeah, it's a pretty different style of humor.
This one, the humor is one of the main goals of the film. There, it's obviously like a comedy with hero elements and stuff. But for me, I really enjoyed the comedy in this. I liked the characters. I liked where the humor was coming from, and I thought it fit to having a teenager getting powers and stuff. I thought it makes sense to kind of treat it this way. So I was pretty much on board with the humor. I know not everybody liked it. I know some people want more films like BVS, but I really like films that are in BVS style, but I also am fine with other films taking different styles. As long as I feel like they did a good job with it.
It's the big thing. One thing they were doing that was very different from what Marvel was doing. Marvel will kind of lead into the next movie, but with like a stinger at the end. But the DC movies, they were like the beginning of Batman versus Superman is just inextricably linked to the end of Man of Steel. And then while the whole plot of Suicide Squad doesn't happen without the events of Batman versus Superman. But one really frustrating thing, because that's when the breakdown begins, is with Suicide Squad. That's when the train starts to come off the rails. Suicide Squad was supposed to lead into Justice League, because a lot of people don't know this, but originally it wasn't Incubus. Incubus was Steppenwolf. The Eye Guys were parademons. That was the original plot of Suicide Squad, and there's art. There's a concept art to that effect.
Right.
And so it would have been a clear chain from Man of Steel to Batman versus Superman to Suicide Squad to Justice League, and that's just entirely gone now. There's no connection between this and like the previous movies outside of we know Superman and Batman exist from like popular culture within this universe. Yeah. And it's like that's one of the big things that they lost. And now that's why I say, this really is, it is just basically a Marvel movie. I hate to say it, but there's nothing particularly wrong with that. But I don't know. I like different house styles. I'm a big fan of
variety. I'm okay with having some films that are in the universe, but they're not really part of the main story. But obviously, like my top preference would have been like after BVS that goes right into Justice League with more continuity between like the Batman character, the Superman character, and stuff. Right. And then I would have loved it, if Zack Snyder could have done that and then gone into Justice League 2. But while that like line is happening from Man of Steel to Justice League 2, I would be totally fine with doing like a Wonder Woman film that's kind of off to the side, and then a Shazam film that's actually a different character in a different city, in the world, and then maybe a movie over there. So like I'm fine with having movies off to the side where you don't have to watch all of the other movies to get it. But I do wish that the main line had been continued for at least like 2 more films, and then Zack Snyder could have wrapped up, and then he could have ended.
That's exactly how I feel. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like just the fact that that's gone entirely. It wouldn't matter if this doesn't have to tie into that directly. I just wish that still existed to tie into it all. It's just that bums me out, man.
So with
I feel
the
like I
yeah.
feel like I actually got robbed. They actually took a movie away from two movies, at least
Yeah.
two movies.
Right, yeah.
Whatever, man. This seems
But
cool. See
the
that
scene
out of
is-
the window. It's tight.
Yeah, this is a really good moment. Seeing this against the window looks really cool. A nice way to kind of emphasize the violence by actually being outside of it for a second. Again, Sandberg,
This is a
like
great,
Juan,
very
coming from
movie.
horror.
Yeah.
And
Sandberg,
I was gonna say
Yeah.
quickly the stuff we talked over with the father and the brother I think was just really good, right? Like we just had the scene in the car
Yeah.
and then we come here, but that's all you need. Like we already got a feeling for the brother, for the dad, and we are like, we know what their comeuppances and stuff. So just with two scenes, it was like boom, boom, but they nailed it, I think.
This is weird, but the monsters. I saw this movie twice in theaters, and good theaters too. So I don't know why the Seven Deadly Sins are standing out to me more in this third viewing on a TV in a house. But I kind of take back what I said earlier. I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's kind of weird. What's happening?
I mean, I kind of agreed with what you said before, though. Like I thought it might be more obvious which one was which sin. Like I can kind of tell greed has the multiple arms because it's wanting to grab everything,
Yeah.
Gluttony has the huge stomach thing, so that makes sense.
Who's that supposed to be? Is that Pride? He's tall, he's got horns.
Right. See, like I couldn't tell you necessarily with the other ones. I think Wrath is. If I see Wrath, I think I can tell because he looks really mean and a little bit more badass than some of the other ones. But
I think what's missing is a color palette because they're all just the same color with red eyes. That one, Gluttony has got to be.
Maybe would the one with the wings would that be Pride because you're flying above everybody else or something?
Yeah, stands tall, got big. Yeah.
I think I'm above everybody else.
Stop and look at them, you can kind of tell, but just in general, like in action, they kind of just blur together.
Yeah, I also think the Savannah S right there, that's in the back, to me is probably supposed to be reminiscent of a swastika, because it has the same tilt and the same corners.
Like, why does that stand out? Damn, dude, you're right. Wow.
Yeah,
creepy.
And I don't know if that's from the comics or not, but this little family moment is nice too. It just connects into the family theme. So you were mentioning that it's kind of a Marvel movie. So, and I agree, this movie put humor up front and center. Like we're gonna make a humorous, crowd pleasing movie with a superhero kind of action to it.
That's an aspect of it, but that's not really what I mean.
Okay, that's kind of how I think about it. Like a lot of the Marvel movies, but especially a lot of the Marvel movies that I don't like very much, I feel like try to go too hard towards comedy. This one is very comedic, but I like this movie a lot more. Like I like this movie more than probably like the last 3 years worth of Marvel movies. Black Panther is a movie that I like maybe about the same as this one, but I'm not sure why I like this one.
Ragnarok?
Do I like Thor Ragnarok?
Bro.
Yeah, I mean I watched it. I didn't enjoy it that much, but I could go through all of them. But like the comedic ones, for some reason, this one works better than the others, and I was wondering if I could just try to figure out why I like this one better. I don't know if it's like where the humor is coming from is different. Like, because for me, it's something about the kids and using some of their immaturity for some of the jokes. Like this whole sequence coming up with the security guard, I think is really good. But it works because it's kids doing it, like they're trying to get out, but kind of. And I maybe can go along with that flow better than accepting a bunch of stupid gags and stuff from like adults, maybe.
Well, how do you feel about Spider-Man?
Spider-Man: Homecoming was fine. I haven't seen the new one, Far From Home, yet.
I really liked it. There's a lot of really good teen humor in that. Anybody listening that's seen it, the whole subplot with Ned is one of my favorite parts of that movie, and that reminds me a lot of this movie. I don't want to spoil it for you. There's a whole subplot with his friend Ned, and it's really good. It's really funny. There's a lot of kinship between Spider-Man and this for obvious reasons.
I think that's probably the closest template that they had. Like, you know how executives always say, like, what movie is it going to be like? They want to just compare it to a movie from last year or from the past, So I'm sure that they talked about Spider-Man: Homecoming for this because of the high school setting and teenagers and that kind of stuff. I liked Spider-Man Homecoming pretty well, but there was a lot of scenes where I didn't like the physics and just the like scientific logic of stuff that was happening in Spider-Man 1, and that took me out of it a lot. This one, it gets away from that just because it says magic, and so then I don't actually apply like scientific principles to it.
Well, that's all the Marvel movies. Like, it doesn't. That's one of the big differences between Marvel and Snyder's DC. Snyder, and we say Snyder, but really it's Nolan. This is all Nolan's fault. The Batman Begins having to be like, and this is why he has a cape, and this is why he has gloves, which I love. I eat that shit up. But yeah, that's the big difference between those movies and this. The Snyder Nolan movies are like, this is why this is the way it is. And the Marvel movies are like, at some point, Iron Man developed nanotechnology, and also the Hulk figured out how to be the Hulk. That's not important. What's important is what's about to happen, which fair enough. But I'm more of a why is this happening guy.
Mm-hmm. So this is a classic, fun and games kind of thing where the promise of the premise pays off, where like, oh, kids are going to get powers, they're going to play around and try out the powers. But I think they designed it really well. This one is a really good one. The secret fire immunity test is brilliant. And it's kind of a follow-up, too, of the earlier one where he said, like, I was secretly testing your intelligence, and now he's, like, secretly testing his fire. But I also like it here with the Queen song where they talk about, Mr. Fahrenheit right when the fire is burning him. It's a nice little connection.
That's what makes this a Marvel movie, by the way, is all the pop songs and stuff. And I know that Suicide Squad does that too, but that wasn't an active choice by David Ayer. That was the trailer cut the movie together. But in the Suicide Squad, I feel has, in spite of itself, has a lot in common with the Zack Snyder movies, which is why it has a special place in my heart. Like Deadshot. Deadshot can bend bullets. Nobody can convince me otherwise. Deadshot he's bending bullets like in Wanted, except without the wrist flick. Okay, not important, but like that's the the musical montage and stuff like that. Like that's what makes this, in my mind, more of a Marvel movie than a. And I just hope that all I want. Okay, Zack Snyder's obviously never coming back, but come on, just one more movie like that, please. Please, this guy. What the hell?
Yeah, that was really timed well. I also liked the locomotive and the leaping tall buildings reference to Superman. Yeah. It's just kind of a nice classic thing. We finally get an answer to how to pee in this thing. Because, he really has nothing to do with the costume. The costume just appears, he doesn't put it on or know how to take it off or anything like that, so...
Stupid as hell.
See, like this again, I'm willing to just go with this and kind of laugh and stuff more because these are teenagers doing this, right? Like,
exactly, yeah.
Where like some of the humor in Ant-Man and in like Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and stuff, I just can't go along with it as well because it just rubs me the wrong way. But we don't have to talk about that anymore. We can. So, now Freddy has a Wonder Woman shirt on. Okay, I actually missed that the first times I watched it. So he's got Aquaman, Superman, Wonder Woman so far.
Oh yeah, he has a whole collection, but that's what I was saying is like, were you even cool color scheme, green and orange there. Freddy knows what's up.
Yeah. I wish in that scene where they're playing the video game, I wish that they had been sitting on the same side that their fighting character was. Because like when we started the scene, Shazam was on the right, but his character in the game was on the left. And for me, because it was a short scene, it would have been easier to just have them aligned like on the same side. Just be easier to track like who's who. But very, very minor point for that. This is funny.
This conversation about looking for a secret lair. I found a secret lair in real life one time.
Really?
Carl Sagan's house is 100% a literal secret lair. I've been to it. The only part of it that you can see from the road is like, I don't know what it is. I don't think it's a garage. There's like enough space for like a car to park. One car. Wow. And then there's like a gate. And then there's nothing. Like you can't see anything. What it is it's in a gorge, and the house is like built into the side of the gorge, and you just can't see it from like anywhere off the property. You just can't see it at all. That's the house they want. It's Carl Sagan's house. It used to be like the home of a secret society in like the 30s or whatever, and then he bought it after making all that Cosmos money or whatever. And that's the house they're looking for. Carl Sagan's house in Utica, New York.
Wow.
So cool. It is. I mean, just the implication of it, because like I said, you can't see it, but once you realize what you're looking at, it's so cool.
Wow, I've never heard of that.
Go to Utica? Ithaca. Go to Ithaca. Go to Cornell. Go to that Herbert F. Johnson Museum of Art. But most importantly, find Carl Sagan's house. It's so cool.
I do like Cosmos a lot, and Contact is good too.
I went to his gravesite, and there's just like a bunch of I love this story. I got to tell the story. I went to Carl Sagan's gravesite, and like people have left all these little tokens. There was like a flight cord, one of those like ripcord tags, or that kind. You could tell like somebody was inspired to be a pilot or something because of him, that kind of thing. And I was like, damn, dude, what do I leave for Carl Sagan? And then I remember that Carl Sagan was low-key a huge marijuana proponent. So I went and got my Smoke Buddy Jr., which is like a thing that you exhale into. Put that on his grave.
Wow.
That's a good story. Okay, that's Carl Sagan.
Yeah, he probably would appreciate that. He would know that it came from the heart.
Right.
So in the previous scene, we saw the continuation of the bully saga, and then we also saw the first little kernels of Freddie and Billy having some disagreements, and then that will continue here. So we're kind of arcing with their relationship. They met, they kind of bonded, they had some fun, but now they're starting to tire of one another. So they're going to have a little bit of up and down in their relationship, but that makes for good drama. Yeah,
Billy is a kind of a selfish person for obvious reasons, and that's the influence that good friends and a good family can have.
Yeah,
steer those instincts in the right direction. This movie handles that really well. He has a really good character arc.
Yeah, because like right here, the family, if he was listening to them, the family is actually giving him some good feedback about like what he should be doing with his time and power. But Billy like does not want to really hear any criticism. He's just like, well, I didn't get to pick the costume or whatever. He's not receptive to what could be some good feedback from your family.
Yeah.
And like this too, like about getting kind of obsessed with your powers. He doesn't want to hear that either and just walks away. Yeah. He needs a sidekick. Name one cool sidekick. So of course everybody thinks like Robin is a cool sidekick, right?
If you don't think Robin's a cool sidekick, Robin's lame. You don't read comics. Get out of my face. Justice League watcher, get out of here. Robin rules. I was talking to somebody the other day about how if you look closely at the Robin costume in Batman versus Superman, it doesn't have legs. Did you ever catch that?
Yeah, so was it like the tights like from the old 66 show?
No, I bet it was bare ass legs, like in the comics. Like I honestly think that's what they were going for. Like that boy was really wearing body armor and nothing on his legs because he's an acrobat. Yep. Can't touch him. He's just like getting pictures and stuff.
Yeah, I like this. He's on his own now, so we get to see. It's not quite as good as having a partner with you. But.
Like where's Amanda Waller? I mean, I guess maybe she just backed off or something. Hopefully, the Suicide Squad addresses that. You know what I mean? That's what I'm looking for. Just a little damn continuity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For me, I feel fine about the Suicide Squad sequel because there's so many of the same actors coming over. I'm like, no matter what anybody says, this is a follow-up to the first Suicide Squad.
Peacemaker's in it. Sold. I'm sold.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that movie.
Yeah, it's badass, dude, for sure.
So this is nice. Sorry.
Oh, no, go on. No,
yeah.
Let's talk about this movie.
Well, I was going to say, just it's nice because Billy is in this phase of trying to go on his own. And I think this is a nice way. So he makes a connection with Mary, and it's a chance for Mary to have kind of a scene that's focused on her. So that's good for her character. But for Billy, we also hear him, like, the advice that he gives is kind of like, forget other people, like, think about yourself and stuff, because that's where his mindset is right now. But it's actually, like, not that good of advice. And so, like, he will, like you said, he has a character arc where by the end of the movie, he would not give this advice anymore. He would give completely different advice about family and, staying connected to people that care for you and stuff. So yeah, and at the Caltech, so that same people she's talking to on the phone, so that's connected there too. Yeah, it's all working pretty good. I like the Gandhi stuff. Take care, number one, or Yoda. Hey, Star Wars reference. You probably appreciate the Star Wars reference.
Sorry. Yeah. Bill, you idiot.
You just gave it away a little bit there. Yeah, he wasn't too smooth with covering for himself. Like, first of all, using her name and then trying to cover for that, pretty lame, but then even mentioning the group homes. Like, he stepped in it twice there, Billy. So this is a little bit over-dramatized, but to me it's funny. It's like to have so many kids gathered around and, like, looking right at him. Like, even if this many kids were interested in whether Shazam was going to show up or kind of calling Billy out on it, it's funny to have so many, like, right around him at the table instead of just, like, looking on from the cafeteria. So it's over-dramatized, but to me, it's funny, and it's kids, and I can, like, go with it,
Yeah, I mean, that's like some high school kid watching this, absolutely their worst nightmare. I can see that.
Oh, so I love this part. And on the behind-the-scenes features, the writer of the movie, he talks about coming up with this idea. Like, this was filmed, what did they say? Oh, I love that kick. I love how Freddy kicks it. But the lightning in my hand, so you can see the behind the scenes, the writer talking about coming up with this moment. But this one is like the biggest hit in my family. Like, we all now are quoting the lightning with my hands, and we sing that to each other now all the time. Yeah, so it's just, we just do the dance and stuff and say lightning with my hands. And there was the other gross too, by the way, where it says the gross at the underwear. And the suitcase wedgie will come back later. It's a nice little setup and payoff later.
Yep. People in Philadelphia do not have anything to do.
I don't know. I think a lot of people would come out if there was a hero in public. I think a lot of people would come out to just see what was going on. So this, this is kind of a very common sort of cliche, right? Like the bus dangling. Like Man of Steel did it. Lots of things have done this before, it seems like, especially if you count TV and movies and stuff. But again, it's kind of like they're playing with the superhero trope. Like, they're saying, okay, you're a kid, you got superpowers.
Yeah.
And because you were reckless with your superpowers, you kind of caused this, and so now we see how he handles it. So it's almost like you kind of have this situation, and you put a lot of superheroes into this situation, and they all handle it in different ways, and they kind of show you, like, their style and their personality based on how they handle the bus situation. So it's almost like a rite of passage.
If there's anybody listening to this who didn't have to take the bus for like 15 years, yes, buses actually do go on the interstate a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Just throwing that out there.
Oh, yeah, sure.
This part reminds me, what this makes me think of is the Lost World Jurassic Park.
Oh, that's right. When their trailer, the dinosaur pushes the trailer off the edge.
It's a matchy. He's not like stupid, but yeah, he's like a 15-year-old kid.
Yeah, and he's just freaking out in the moment, not sure what to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, he's just gotta trust himself. The wisdom of Solomon.
Yeah. So this could be a nitpick, which is that he's holding the entire weight of the bus, which is like, many tons. He's holding it basically with the windshield, which of course structurally could not at all hold the weight of the bus. And we made a similar critique of Justice League when Superman is like carrying the apartment building. I will say
it's magic. Superman is like literally made of magic. Like so this checks out because sure, why not? He's a magic guy. You can hold the bus together, I guess. Superman, not magic. You got to establish like they did in like the 80s or whatever, where they were like actually Superman can pick stuff up because he can kind of hold it together with his mind. Like, yeah, or like the, what is it? The field of invulnerability that surrounds his body extends to anything that he touches. So if Superman is holding up a bus, the bus isn't going to crumple around him because it is molecularly being held together by the weird alien powers that Superman has. That's dumb. That's stupid. Just make Superman like a human being made out of steel. That's so much more interesting to me. And then over here, Shazam he's magic. He's a magic man. So he holds up the bus.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd prefer like real physics, but in this movie, it doesn't matter. Magic.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one way to go. Like here, magic, so it's fine. Justice League, not magic, so the apartment building should have crumpled. The other way for me is just tone of the movie. So like this movie, we're having fun with kids, we're joking, we're just enjoying the powers, so go with it. Justice League, to me, should have been not as jokey, not as about visual gags and stuff, and so I would have liked that one to be a little bit more realistic.
Yeah, too bad Alessandro isn't here to say #release the Snyder Cut. He's right. Yeah. He said, "Damn, man, I want to see a friggin' movie. I want." Yeah. Here's what I want. I want Dave Gibbons and Zack Snyder to team up, and then they just draw all the movies Zack Snyder was going to make, and there's a bunch of comics. That's totally doable. DC would publish that.
Yeah. I think that's a great idea. I would love that.
And like Dave Gibbons too. Dave Gibbons are like. I don't know if like Neil Adams is too. I know Neil Adams still draws, but I don't know if he's up for drawing like a 12-issue, super maxi series. But just somebody, one of those guys, or even Alex Ross. Geez, damn, Alex Ross. I prefer it drawn though. But Alex Ross. Just imagine like Alex Ross and Zack Snyder's Justice League. Oh my God, that would rule.
Yeah, they would sell a lot of copies if they did graphic novels of Justice League, of Zack Snyder's, storyboards and stuff. So Freddy had a good scene, nice character moment for him. I like the villain entrance of in the background floating down, and you kind of notice like, oh crap, that's Savannah back in it, And we've had a while since we saw Savannah last, but I think the pacing is right. Like we had to see Billy and Freddy, their development.
Spot on.
Yeah, and so now is just the right time to bring the villain back in and start moving that direction forward. That's a good punch.
Damn.
Yeah, and this is they've tested all these different things, and this is the first time that he actually felt a punch,
Oh, well, that's not true, because he also, like, when he tries to fly and he falls, like, he gets winded. He really is just, like, a guy with magic powers.
Yeah, actually, you're...
remember to use them.
Right. And when he falls, it's not really, like, hurting him, but you're right. Even the comic book I was just reading, the Shazam 100-page special, they even say in there, they have twice where he's like, oh, that knocked the wind out of me. So it kind of shows, like, if he has an impact, it's not hurting his bones or muscles or anything.
Remember,
but it will affect his lungs. Like, his lungs still function by needing to be inflated and stuff,
Yeah.
So this is perfect for bringing back the old trying to fly and trying to believe in it. That's good. And this is also, I like it too, the visual parallel right here of you kind of go to the close-up of right on his face and the, near impact, because that's what they did when the bus fell as well. The bus was falling, and then we go to a close-up and we see his face like right against the window, and now he's falling and we go right to the face next to the pavement.
Yeah,
it's really cool. And just like in the prologue, we get a surprise vehicle impact. It's good. I like those visual callbacks. And that's like a Peter Pan moment, right? Like Freddy, they haven't decided on a name, so Freddy is just yelling his real name out. That's probably not the best.
Yeah, you're right. I keep forgetting about that, yeah. Kids are so dumb.
Who's the other guy that's good in Santa? So nice little joke on the cut.
Oh, yeah. This movie's a cabbages guy, and if any Avatar: The Last Airbender viewers are listening, this guy is totally the my cabbages of this movie.
He just pushed the girl away.
Damn, that's funny.
Yeah, and this is that Christmas spirit that you were talking about, right?
He's about to go into like the department store scene, and they said that one thing that they had to do was they went through in the toy store They got rid of everything that wouldn't make sense as it, because they said fill it with DC toys. Easy enough. Just go to the warehouse, grab, sign out a bunch of pallets of toys, bring them to the set, set it up. They did that, and then David Sandberg and them, they walked through the set and they picked out everything that wouldn't make sense. Like, why would there be a Lex Luthor toy? I'm Batman. Kevin Conroy cameo. I'm Batman. I think sounds like Kevin Conroy.
Yeah, and that one. So again, in the behind the scenes, they say that Zachary Levi was the one that actually came up with that Batman thing. So he just saw it there on set and said to Sandberg, what if I throw this at him? And then they're like, oh, all right, I guess we'll try it. So that's
big
cool.
Reference with the keyboard.
Yeah, nice. I think that's just the right level of reference, where it's just a moment, but they don't stay on it too long, Yeah, I like this flying through the mall. So he's just learned to fly, a minute before. Now he has to go through all the people and stuff.
Flying kind of looks weird. I can't put my finger on it.
Yeah, I chalk that up to the much lower budget, like half the budget or whatever, from some of the other movies.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, this was kind of, what is it, like $100 million or something? I don't even know. I don't have a point of reference for that.
I used to have them all memorized, but I've been really busy this summer and haven't kept everything fresh. But I know it was substantially less money, to make this than the, Man of Steel even, or BVS, or any of the typical ones.
Every time I see that little cartoon and he walks past that screen, I wonder what that is. Somebody at me on Twitter. Is that a reference to something? Is that like a DC cartoon? I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't really looked at that one yet. I like this too, how just visually they show us how Savannah's figuring it out, and we know that it's going to be trouble.
Yeah.
I think that works well. Rather than Savannah grabbing him and saying "You're the kid from the bus," and I saw it on the TV. He just goes right to it. I love this part too with Freddy yelling "supervillain." That is great. For a kid who's been a superhero fan for so long, and to actually have a supervillain. I love the way he says the energy manipulator too. His lips are he's so freaked out, his lips are kind of flapping weird for energy manipulator. I gotta give overall I really, really liked the performance there for Freddy by Jack Dylan Grazer. Really great job.
David Sandberg's a really good director. He gets really good performances out of his actors. When you see a bad performance in a movie, people think that just because a pretty girl gets into a movie, she got to do it because she's pretty. One, you actually be surprised at how many actresses are not as attractive in real life, because honestly, the camera does something to. There's something about being rendered in 2 dimensions versus being seen in 3 dimensions. It just makes getting more attractive. Some people less attractive.
Well, and you get makeup and hair, and you get lighting and stuff. The lighting can make a big difference.
And lenses. The lens changes. But my big thing is editing and direction are just as important as an actor's actual skill, because a lot of times you're probably just seeing a poorly chosen take. It's probably a much better take, or just the director just didn't know how to get what they wanted out of the actor.
Mm-hmm.
And I think actors take a lot of shit that they don't deserve, and directors, I don't think people have a good understanding of what it is that directors do. Mm-hmm. I think David Sandberg did a really good job on this movie. He gets good performances out of his actors. The editing's really good, which that's the editor. But just in general, this is a solid movie.
Yeah, well, there's almost nothing in this movie where I thought the shot was awkward, or I thought the camera was in the wrong spot, or anything. Pretty much to me, I either didn't notice it, which means he's doing a good job of just having good flow and stuff, or I was really impressed with how he set up the shot or how he moved the camera and stuff. So, yeah, I agree. I think he really did a nice job. And it was successful enough to get a sequel, which is good. It didn't, burn down the box office like Aquaman did or something, but I think it's a really good film. I think they can be proud of it.
Yeah, this movie definitely deserves a sequel, and I'd be really happy to see Shazam show up in another, and also in an unrelated movie, especially to see Superman and Shazam.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Together, fighting somebody else. I don't care, man.
Yeah.
Aw.
So this, yeah,
there's only
this
6 of them. Do you think you're going to do Talking Tawny the Talking Tiger? I really want them to. Is that dumb? Is that dumb that I want?
They have to. They probably have to gain a little bit more confidence in the franchise before they take that leap.
They did. You have to admit.
They have the reference to the tiger here with the stuffed tiger. I think is definitely a little bit of a nod to it.
Sure.
Yeah. So one very minor criticism here was the kids just figured out that he's Shazam, like he's the superhero. But then the first thing they want to talk to him about is that they found his mother. And I know that that's what has to happen because the plot needs to continue forward, and, that's fine. But I think realistically, if the kids found out you're this magical superhero, they would have some other things that they wanted to talk to him about or just, get excited about or freak out about rather than, you're the hero. Also, by the way, we found your mom on a totally other, unrelated topic, and we want to give you the information about your mom. So it was kind of a little bit of an abrupt turn to the other plot point, but I understand why they had to just kind of go because that's the next thing that needs to happen in the story.
Yeah, but if you want an explanation for why they would behave that way in the story, these are a bunch of foster kids who have had to actively learn how to be a family with one another, and that means that for the most part, they're all a lot more sensitive to things like that than other normal kids would be.
Oh, so I see.
He's not entering into a pre-existing family in the sense that, those are all the parents' kids. No, they're all foster kids. They've all had to learn how to, live together and relate to one another. And I think those kids, a bunch of 3 7s, a bunch of kids would be those particular kids, I think they would talk to him about his mom.
Yeah, you might be right too, because they also might just be really good at reading Billy's emotions, right?
That's what I mean. Yeah,
he was. Yes.
What is the? There's a phrase for that. They're very emotionally aware. They'd have to be to live in a house like that. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right, that's good. I'll buy that. This is good. I think this whole scene was really effective with the mom. How she almost just tries to disregard him again, right? Which is fitting, but he has this thing that's been so meaningful. His object, instead of the magic 8-ball, he has this compass. And now she kind of realizes, but this is really good here, right? Because she doesn't invite him in. She says I'm gonna wait. Nope.
Oh.
I'm not gonna hug you. I'm going to actually step out into the hallway. Oh man, it's just really well conceived scene to just make it all really hit home. How painful this is, right? Billy's I'm not going in. We're just going to stand here with the door partially closed.
What's her boyfriend's name? Trevor?
Yeah. It's
huge.
Yeah.
Sorry, true sounds in our audience, but you suck.
And this is so heartbreaking too. Billy wants to say I didn't mean to lose you. It's dude, Billy, it wasn't your fault, man. She totally dumped you.
Yeah. Well, the kid would think that.
Yeah. And I know we have to empathize with the mom a little bit too. We have to. It's easy to sort of just get angry at the mom, but we can try to empathize her as well. She was just a teenager at the time. She was only a couple years older than Billy is now, and so she was dealing with a lot. It was probably really scary, and people might do things that seem unforgivable, but you have to kind of try to understand they did it because they were feeling a certain way in the moment, and we shouldn't judge them for it for their whole life or something. But in this movie, it's basically we can be mad at the mom.
No, that's what, and that's a big thing in these movies that you're not the best thing you've ever done, and you're not the worst thing you've ever done. Superman saving the world doesn't change him joining Darkseid in that alternate future. Mm-hmm. Batman's 20 years of, helping people and saving lives doesn't change him trying to murder Superman in cold blood. Like you are your actions, but usually there's a reason for those actions, and you got to understand both. And it would be easy to hate Billy's mom, but I don't know. I kind of have a hard time doing it.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't make the scene hurt less, and that's
right.
That's a real credit to the writing and the acting.
Mm-hmm. He wants to let you know I'm doing good, which is nice, right? He's starting to take that turn towards actually trying to do good instead of just like showing off or being a bully. He's going to actually try to do good with his powers.
Point for him where he just forgives her. Yeah.
And it's nice that like giving away his compass was actually when he starts to realize his direction, like what he wants to do or needs to do. And that's kind of, fitting that the compass didn't actually show him his direction. It was when he like let go of it and let go of that just trying to find my mom from the past that he has his direction now. And then now we can kind of kick into the, basically the remainder of the showdown with Savannah and stuff. And it opens Billy up to realize, or he is already kind of realizing the family that he has. And I think he said too, when he's leaving his mom, I have to go back to my real family, so.
Yeah.
Definitely good arcing for the character, just like you said.
This shot's really cool. I love
that.
It.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Great silhouette against the sky, great run, great jump, just everything really, really well executed with that shot. That's like just a legendary shot. Super well done. And now he's also gotten a lot better at his flying. But this is always scary too when the villain is, invading your personal space, your home safe space. That always feels extra dangerous.
That's children, you psychopath.
So
that's how you know he's a real asshole. I mean, it's like a bunch of kids. What the hell's wrong with you, dude?
Yeah. I like Pedro's line there because he's so quiet so often. That's good. I really like Pedro. He might be my favorite one of the family.
Yeah.
But so the Savannah's eye is like working really well in the kind of dark, nighttime environment here. The blue eye really stands out. And my youngest kid is my little daughter. She's too young for the movie and she can't watch like parts of it and stuff or really follow it. But when she was like in the room when we were watching this movie a whole bunch, my daughter just loves that blue eye. Like right now she would just be saying like, oh, his eye, he has a blue eye. She's 2. And so just visually, a 2-year-old is really, really compelled by that design of Savannah's eye, which just to me shows they found a good look for the character.
Is that a good argument? My 2-year-old really likes this movie.
Well, it's just visually it stands out, and a 2-year-old can't help but like comment on it, continually.
No, and I'm actually glad that you brought it up because that's one of the reasons I like superhero movies. Like they just superhero comics, superhero movies. They just show you something that's just so far out of left field, right? And that's what their whole bread and butter. That's why they're so popular. People are like, why do people like these movies? It's because like you can have like there's this Far From Home. There's a Mysterio sequence as you would expect there to be, and it's fantastic. And there would be no reason for it to appear in basically 99% of other stories. It's. I'm not saying it could only exist in a comic book story, but that's where Mysterio comes from, and that's how you get that sequence in that movie. You get this. You get all this the glowing eye and the lightning and stuff in this movie because it comes from these weird comics from like the 50s or whatever. No, damn, I think it's older than that. It's the 40s. And that's what I like about superhero movies. Just the excuse to see stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think you're right too. Like creative designs of characters and stuff, like having a blue magic crystal in your eye or whatever. When would you ever get a chance to just create a character like that, except for in superhero movies? And then once you see it, you can't ever not see it. You're like, no, I saw a villain who has this blue crystal in his eye.
That's the real strength of people like James Cameron who have that. They see that stuff in their mind's eye. James Cameron just imagining a half world, like a man with his face torn off and it's a robot underneath. That's metal as hell. And I could appreciate anybody who thinks that way. And comics just seem to naturally generate that kind of thing. There's just something about the comics. I think what it is just if you can imagine it and you have the ability to draw it, it exists. And it wasn't possible with movies until well into that's the core of what of the superhero comic book is. Starting with Action Comics is, I would like to see this, so I am going to draw it. And
Yep.
it's different for movies because bringing it is so much more difficult.
Right.
So while there are people who are making movies and doing art that is psychedelic and visually interesting in just insane ways, comics are just a breeding ground for that.
Yeah.
That's what makes it special.
Yeah. Really quick on the last scene, I liked how Darla hugged him when she didn't want him to go, because we know Darla's a hugger, so I thought that was nice. And then they have their little thing about good brother, good sister. I love the return of the Batarang. And it's not just a gimmick. It's actually important to the plot, right? Like, so they came to help, which is this key moment of them, sticking up for their brother. Right. And then I like here, too, how it's important to actually see that it wounded him when he didn't have the sins inside. I also, by the way, with the design of the sins, do you think the one with the really long curling tongue, is that lust? Because that would be kind of funny if it was.
So gross. You're probably right, too. Damn. Ugh.
I like the Batarang, though, coming back again. Like, so when it's magic infused, it can hurt magic, but yeah, it's good. And it's the Zack Snyder design for the Batarang, we should of course say.
God, I need to sell that Batarang. Is that a replica Batarang, or did they find that? What was that supposed to be?
Oh yeah, I don't know. Just Freddie said it's the old Batarang. Yeah, so I don't know. It's probably just one that they make to look like
probably
Batman's
replica.
Batman. Yeah, replica. That's the same design.
Like Batarang in police custody, right? Wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Like I said, I have a very long circadian rhythm for movies where I like to. I'll binge stuff for a while, and then I won't touch it for months and months, and I can feel it. Like I'm about to come back to Man of Steel and Batman versus Superman. I'm just so excited to watch those movies again.
Mm-hmm.
Just seeing the Batarang just made me think about that.
Yeah.
But this is good.
Yeah.
I like the chase sequence. This makes me think of Monsters Incorporated because of all the doors.
That is the same thing I thought of. It's exactly the same, yep. But I like this, that they got to explore, around the Rock of Eternity area a little bit more, rather than just the one main throne room. But yeah, this is also just a chance to explore a little bit more of the magic, right? Like, there's this different crazy magic. So that's David Sandberg is the director, is one of those alligator crocodile guys.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Somebody at me. I feel like these are all probably references to old comics. So just somebody hit me up on Twitter if you know.
Yeah, I assume so, but yeah, I'm not familiar with all of them.
No
more doors. That's good. That's the wisdom of Solomon right there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is funny.
Oh yeah, there's the intuitive magic powers again. That's I like that. Yeah, that's a very Shazam thing. I guess if you're just the king of magic, then it should just kind of respond to whatever you're thinking. Yeah, that's funny.
That's good, and I like it too as they come out with the kids. And I like it that they, we never go inside the Gentleman's Club. We're always just outside of it looking. So it's all, It's a nice PG-13 way to handle it. And it actually makes it more funny, I think, to just be on the outside of it.
Pedro is the first gay person in a comic movie. Everybody can shut up now. There's two gay guys kissing. There's two dudes kiss. I don't know if they're necessarily gay. There's just a couple of guys just sharing a nice kiss. When Clark is on the ferry in DVS, but it's right for you, but you just don't notice until somebody points it out.
Okay, in the Ultimate Edition. Yeah.
Yeah,
the ferry ride. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the ferry scene is only in the Ultimate Edition. So yes.
Yeah. I like this too. So we go to Philadelphia, the Winter Carnival, which again it matches the seasonal setting and also the Philadelphia kind of setting. So I like that. And it gives a memorable, location for this Act 3, all the action here.
Yeah.
And they use the real Ferris wheel for all the Ferris wheel stuff, which is pretty cool.
There's you probably recall my whole thing about how the end of this movie is the end of Spider-Man Homecoming. Well, there's And for anybody who doesn't know what I'm talking about, I mean, come on, it ends on like a surprise reveal, and then it cuts to a Ramones song and a bunch of like drawings in a notebook.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But
Yeah.
in Far From Home, there's a scene with a Ferris wheel, and Spider-Man has to keep it from falling over. So maybe they're just going to keep going back and forth.
Yeah, you can be. That would be funny.
Obviously, there's no way for either production team to know, like when they were shooting Far From Home, they didn't know that there was a Ferris wheel in this movie. But I mean, that would be pretty funny if that just kept happening.
Yeah, like they could for Shazam 2 actually watch Far From Home and then take an idea and connect it just to keep it going.
Yeah, because they're not making it yet, so yeah. And that's why I don't. And like I said about the ending of this movie, that it's just coincidence. Like I don't think that they said let's just do the ending to Spider-Man because, like I said, it was supposed to feature Henry Cavill, and there was dialogue, there was a brief conversation. So yeah, it was a completely different ending. But it is funny that this is in both movies.
Yeah. So I like the callback to Santa. And here we get, we see the Ferris wheel, and we know there's going to be quite a bit more action with the Ferris wheel later. And you can kind of, as a savvy audience member, you can kind of tell this Ferris wheel is going to probably be central to a lot of the action. And it is where they end up standing, during their victory. If a superhero can't save his family, he's not much of a hero. So, yeah, so Billy is explicitly showing his turn now, thinking about others and stuff instead of just himself. That's a nice classic shot here. Yeah. Walking toward camera and transforming.
Hell yeah, dude. Oh shit.
So the fist catch reminds us of BVS, and then also the flying punches that they have kind of reminds us of Man of Steel. So I like a little bit of that, director taking that's funny with Freddy, but taking some inspiration from Zack Snyder. Even this is a little bit like BVS, where the Batman comes through the wall and with the Martha rescue.
Wow, damn, you're right.
And now we get it comes full circle here with the balloon dart game. You could say it's almost too much on the nose to like go back to the exact same game he was with his mom, but
because I realized that until you said it.
Oh, really? Yeah, no, it's literally balloon darts.
Perfect memory, so.
No, and then it's going to be it's literally the same carnival game, 10 years later, and then it's there's a tiger there as well that he'll give to the little girl. But I like this where Mary, I like her because she has the math connection and stuff, but she doesn't get a lot to do in the final fight. Like once she transforms, they don't really use her that much, but I like it that she had the idea here at least. She helped to figure out that Billy is Shazam, and she also here had the idea of we need to lure the demons out, the sins out. So she does her part beforehand, even though she doesn't get a lot to do in her super heroics. But here's that tiger moment I was talking about. And it is this got to be a reference to the Shazam lore.
This moment, though, like real talk, that's fantastic. Him comforting the kid.
Yeah. This is cool. This was David Sandberg's idea. So again, there's a lot of good behind the scenes featurettes on the Blu-ray and or on the digital. And this was David Sandberg's idea. He kind of conceptualized this of he wanted him to fly and just go right through the smoke of the sin. So that's pretty cool. Now there again, like the special effects of the body double was not perfect, but again, like they were working on like half the budget, so I think it's effective enough. And plus, this movie is about the heart and the comedy and stuff, and so it's not really about every CGI being completely perfect.
I just there's like so much slow motion. I actually do find it annoying. I'm not gonna lie, it is kind of a bit much for me.
Like, that one was already too much, or it becomes too much later?
Yeah, I'm just mad. Look, I'm just mad because everybody, says that Snyder always does that, and he actually doesn't. At least not in Man of Steel and Batman versus Superman.
Yeah, he
and
did
he
in
had
the
to
past.
do it in this movie, and nobody has a damn thing to say about it. And it just gets to me.
Yeah. I don't mind most of it. There is one moment here where I think the slow motion was not planned, and so it doesn't quite look as good. Here's a little bullet time kind of stuff is cool. It's kind of like Superman Returns with the bullet coming right at him, but I like the way that he catches it here. With the finger out. That's actually like the Flash, right? With the fingertips up.
The ball bearing would not move like that through the air. There would be significantly more wiggle.
There's the shot right there with Billy coming up. I'm pretty sure they filmed it with a regular frame rate and then later decided to slow it down rather than like filming it with slow motion.
Yeah, but it just keeps it just starts and stops and starts and stops, and it bothers me. I don't know. But like you said, it's really not the point of the movie.
Yeah.
And props to it for not just turning into like a Star Wars 3-way, crazy battle.
I like again the light coming from the Shazam emblem. That's kind of a unique thing about his emblem is that it has that light coming from it. It looks good. I did, by the way, I just checked. The budget was like just under $100 million. So it is like about half of what a lot of other superhero movies have.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, a good call.
They did a really good job with it.
Yeah, they did a good job with what they had, and they found the heart in comedy and stuff, which doesn't need $200 million to have good comedy and characters. And that also took the pressure off the box office. So, they made enough money. They made, it was almost $365 million. But against a $100 million budget, that's not bad. You're more than tripling it. Yeah. Plus merchandising, like if you have a movie that's makes pretty good money at the box office, but also has merchandise that can sell, then they're doing pretty good. All right, so this is the all is lost moment, right? Like it looks like, oh, the kids are caught. Shazam can't defeat him. Like, what's going to happen? So typical blockbuster fare, audience pleasing kind of thing where you have the all is lost moment and then find some way to recover from it and win.
Wisdom of Solomon.
Solomon, yeah, that's...
Billy actually thinking for once.
Yeah, and I like this too. I like how he puts it together. Yeah. Yeah, he does have to use a little bit of, some mental agility and not just strength.
But Billy is smart. That's the thing. He's like the first thing we see him do is outsmart the cops. And so it's just that he's very what's the word? Like he's headstrong, He acts without thinking, but if he would stop and think, he's pretty clever. He doesn't even need the wisdom of Solomon for that. I like that about him. Got him.
Yeah, and this, when I was in theaters and watched this part, the whole theater just laughed really loud right there.
That's a really good bit.
And again, I've talked before about how I don't like humor that's right in the middle of a threatening part or like an intense fight. But this one, that was humor actually between the fight, right? Like the first part of the fight is done, and we're not into the second part of the fight yet. So I'm totally fine with humor like in between those moments.
It just made perfect sense for them to yell Billy. I mean, that works.
Yeah, it's cool. They found good casting, I think. Like each one that they casted here did match as well.
Not Megan Good. She's too hot. Darla can't be hot. That's not right.
I like how Freddy immediately floats up. So it shows like he has the leg disability of some sort, and so now as a hero, he's like, I can float and fly, and so I don't need to. Like it's not like it fixed his legs completely. It's more like it gave him abilities that he now can still be himself, but can do his super heroic stuff. So now the staff is broken. So this is now it, right? Like these are now the only Shazam members that are going to exist, right? Because there's no staff to imbue anybody new, is what I would guess.
I'm sure that, what's going to happen is these guys are going to like live for 10,000 years, and they'll figure out how to make the next staff and choose the next champ. It's a cycle. You know how it is. You know how it is. Just your old classic 10,000 year
Yeah.
Magical life cycle. Yeah, normal stuff, regular stuff.
I like how they kind of took each of Shazam's powers and kind of emphasized it with the different characters. So like Freddy has the flight, Darla has the hyperspeed, Pedro has the strength. Yeah.
I think
Eugene has the lightning powers mostly.
Darla is what Mercury, and then Mary is Wisdom. Solomon.
Okay, so that's why she doesn't have as much fighting stuff to do, is because she's the wisdom part. Pedro's the strength, and yeah.
And then what does that make Eugene?
He's like Zeus because he pretty much always uses lightning. I think in the fight.
Yeah, right, yeah. And Billy is the strength to Hercules, of course. Or no, wait. What's Billy? Alice?
Well, Billy's like all of it together, kind of, isn't he?
Well, I mean, there's 6 of them. I feel like.
Or they might all kind of have all of it, but then they just sort of emphasize one of it. But so
yeah, they do. That's what. No, they have all of it, obviously, but yeah, they all emphasize something.
Yeah, they kind of have a favored power, sort of. So like I wish I knew exactly which sin that was versus like the one with all this vines and stuff that was trying to entangle and snare Mary. Like I'm not actually sure exactly which each of them is. I know that the four-handed one is greed, but
what are the 7 deadly sins? It's pride, gluttony, greed, lust. I'm not a good Catholic.
I'll look it up. You can continue. Get them in a second. But did you say vice? Yeah. Or no, they are the vices. Never mind. Gluttony, lust, greed. Yeah. Pride, despair. I don't think that's one. Oh, that's an 8th. Wrath, vanity, and sloth.
Sloth. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't actually tell you all 7 of them which they were. So this gag here, I think is funny, but I think it went a little bit too long. Like I think you could have just had one beat of it instead of like 2 or 3 beats. But I'm glad they did it. It is a memorable gag, and it's nice. Like we're so far into the superhero genre now of movies that it is time to start doing some of that, where you're almost kind of, satirizing some parts of superhero genre. I like the Batman Superman connection there, and again, the Christmas tree marks it as a Christmas kind of movie.
And he's just like, yo, Superman sucks, dude.
I'm a Shazam fan now. Yeah. I like that how that's why the Ferris wheel starts to fall over. Oh, I just noticed Mary in the back was having a pretty good. She was on top of a sin, beating down. Looks like glutton.
I never noticed that.
Darla's pretty good in this scene, just how like kind of delighted she is by her abilities. And this is a nice moment for Pedro. He's had his thing about wanting to work out and stuff. Yeah. Now to be able to do this is cool. Also, this reminds me of Man of Steel a little bit, holding up the oil rig.
Oh, you're right. Oh, wow, yeah. Oh, totally. That's cool, dude.
And this is Darla's kind of Flash moment, right? Like Flash in Justice League when he runs down to ping Wonder Woman's sword. It's kind of a little similar. I like how the Adam Brody, the actor here, I like how he really still captures the attitude of Freddy.
He's fantastic. That's perfect casting. I mean, Zachary Levi is great, but Adam Brody, wasn't expecting to see him in this movie, and then it's like, oh yeah, well that's the only person it could have been. Santa.
Yeah, I like the callback here with Santa. It's good. Yeah.
Yep.
It's good. So it all comes full circle. The video game stuff comes back. The Pedro working out comes back. Darla, being a little kid. It's just a well put together movie. Like structurally, I think they were really had their stuff in order. Wonder if he's Wrath. Maybe he's pretty big and mean looking.
Yeah, I can see that. That's what I was just thinking. I was wondering if that wasn't... Who's Sloth? Maybe Sloth is the one with all the vines.
Maybe.
Low. I don't know.
So there they actually had a real Ferris wheel that they actually tipped over like that and just filmed it in one take.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that rules. That's cool, actually. I like that.
So
That's
here
good.
we get some aerial fighting. Oh, he's trying to reach for the eye. That's good. Good little foreshadowing. Or just reminding us of what he needs to do to defeat him. He's got to get that eye out of there. All right, final showdown.
Just making me want to watch Man of Steel again. That fight in Man of Steel, that was... When I saw that movie, I have a whole thing about Man of Steel, but like when I saw that movie, like that fight at the end was just... Why isn't it always like this? This is what it should be. Like, it's the only thing that makes sense. Two, like, mountains that are the size of men. Like, that is what would happen. Like, that, like Invincible. Yeah. I don't know if you've ever read Invincible. Read, like, the first 50 issues of Invincible sometime. And not even... honestly, if you just got, like, I think it's, like, the second story arc. It's just a scene where he's fighting somebody, and he, like, kicks him through a building. And the building is a skyscraper, and it collapses. And the guy's fighting is like, you just killed 3,000 people. Stop fighting. And it's like, damn, dude, you're right. That is how that would go. And I always liked that about that movie. Mm-hmm. But and that's they don't do that in this one, but that's because they're not Kryptonians. They're men with magical powers. So it makes sense. They're not just like leaving craters everywhere.
Yeah. Yep. I think they got the level of powers and impacts and stuff, I think, right between the two. If listeners are fans of Man of Steel, also I refer you to the Man of Steel analysis that we've started up and we're going to be doing through the fall and into next year. So a lot more Man of Steel content from us coming up. I like this too, by the way, here. In the final showdown, it's not more fighting. It's that Billy has to actually figure out a strategic way of making it happen. And I like how he like uses Envy's envy to get him out of there. It's just nice. Like the envy of missing out on the fight and stuff like that. And also the envy of kind of being jealous of the
that's
family.
That's actually perfect. Even down to the delivery of Shazam, that's really good.
Yeah. And I like how they use the lightning, by the way. Yeah. Shazam always has a moment where he can use the lightning to call for it. And I know Jeff Johns had that in his book. So I knew it was coming. At some point he's going to use the name Shazam to get the lightning to win the battle, but they saved it for the kind of climax at the end, which I thought was good.
Have you read Kingdom Come?
Yeah, I did read that once. It's quite a while ago now.
Yeah, he just owns Superman. He just grabs him and starts singing Shazam over and over again. Like, ouch!
Wow,
that would suck.
It's kind of risky to do it multiple times, though, right? Because in between, you're just a little kid, right?
No. It hits Superman. It doesn't hit him.
Oh, it doesn't even turn him. Okay.
It starts going Shazam, and so the lightning bolt just hits Superman. But of course, Superman figures it out and then flips him, and that finishes Billy pretty quickly. But
okay.
It had to.
There we go. They figured it out. Yeah, so here they're coming to try to return to him, but they're a little too late because he's already got the eye out. So now when they return, they're actually just in the eye and not in yet. Works out good. As a writer, you always got to come up with I've got to make the villain, seem like they're going to win, but then I have to come up with some way to defeat the villain. And I thought they did a pretty good job of it in this movie. He's just impressed with his adult voice. That's cool. This is a nice little, again, like the fight is done, so I like some humor coming back into it. And this movie too, like the tone is really, like I said, comedy with action, so I'm much more forgiving of the humor in this one.
Look at his face. Well, Shazam comics have always been pretty goofy and lighthearted for the most part.
Yeah.
But a serious Shazam comic, and this is a real recommendation. If you want a serious Shazam, if you're looking at this, like, but what if this was like hyper real? Dude, read what is it, Miracle Man? Read Miracle Man. Miracle Man's incredible, and it's just like, no, but seriously, what would happen you could turn into a god by saying a word. Like that book deals with it in a pretty hardcore way. Like that's where Zack Snyder got his ideas, was that book. I'm telling you, dude. Oh,
I haven't read that one.
Oh my God. There's a part where he's like, he just stops being immortal. Like he just realizes he just has to say the word one last time and just never be immortal again. And it's really sad. It's like he's committing suicide. Oh man. And like every time he becomes mortal and he talks about being a god, just how different everything is, how reality is different, and he just can't handle thinking about it as a human man. Oh my God, it's so good. Alan Moore, ladies and gentlemen, Alan Moore. But for the most part, like Shazam comics, just lighthearted and fun. Like this movie really captures it. It captures it perfectly.
This is also just effective resolution here of having the layer call back and going back to the Rock of Eternity one more time. Like, it's just a really good resolution where you feel very complete at the end of the movie.
See, Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
I wonder why this scene's funny and the scene in your movie isn't.
Yeah, this is so much better.
Yeah, it's the same scene.
Yeah, it comes out of the camera and goes to the left, or out of the TV screen and goes to the left the same way. But just this is the right time to do it, and that's a much funnier way to do it because we already were connected to Santa and we had already seen what happened.
Yeah.
You don't do it when we're supposed to still be worried about the victim who has been kidnapped. This is also just a nice, effective way to wrap up the theme about family and staying. And now he's putting his hands in, which, by the way, I really liked it when they had the all hands on deck. He used that, from the dinner table, he used that for the staff, and now he's doing it here. So it shows the full arc.
So, like, as a parent, what do you think about this movie?
I like it quite a bit. You mean in terms of the messages about family, or do you mean about, like, is it age appropriate for young kids to watch?
I don't know, however you want to interpret that.
Yeah, so I was a little worried about like the office boardroom scene being a little too scary or intense, and some of the scenes with the demons' sins, being a little too scary. But what I did was the first time we watched it, I like skipped over those, and the kids like just loved the rest of the movie. And my sons actually are really like interested in kind of scary stuff. So then I kind of like sampled it where I made it, the lights were on and we're kind of having fun, but I like played a little bit of the, sins, kind of intense scenes, and they actually were totally fine with it. Like they know the heroes are going to win and they know, so it's actually worked out where they like it. That's 5 and 7. So
okay, yeah, because when I was about 7, I remember one of my favorite movies was Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, but I was a little wiener and I like literally had to run out of the room whenever Victor Garber got melted. Is that Victor Garber? No, the other guy, the Nazi dude.
Yeah.
And his face like melts. I always had to be like, just like go hide behind a couch. And I know that I was like 6 or 7. So yeah, your kids are cooler than me.
Well, a lot of it's about like how you like what's the environment around them and stuff too. And so I tried to lighten it up and like kind of distract them a little bit while it's happening, but so I kind of controlled it. So I like the callbacks to Darla keeping secrets and then Shazam coming here, obviously, but I don't like the use of a little bit of the John Williams Superman theme because, again, this was already kind of ruined in Justice League, but to me it's supposed to be Hans Zimmer's theme.
Hans Zimmer is an amazing.
Yeah.
Why are you? What the hell?
Yeah.
Why are you? Makes me mad.
But I'm actually okay with the cameo, and even like the headless cameo. I still think it's actually funny, and like I like Freddy's reaction. And it's also kind of like, it's not about Superman. It's about Freddy and the family. So I'm actually okay with it. And I don't take it to be like, that means Cavill's out. What I take it to mean is like, that just means the future Superman could be Cavill or it could be somebody else. It's not a definitive
but
he's
like
out.
Like I said, don't read into it too much. The only reason that happened was just they just didn't have enough time at the high school.
Yeah.
That's it.
It does.
Like sometimes the cigar is just a cigar, folks.
Right. And it is true that like at the time that the movie came out, it was true that like Cavill hadn't signed the next movie deal. But that also doesn't mean that he's out. It just means it could be Cavill or it could be somebody else. Like so, yeah, I agree with you. Like, don't read too much into it.
For me, it doesn't matter because if they even if he does come back for like Man of Steel 2, even if J.J. Abrams, who I do like, makes Man of Steel 2, it's not going to be Man of Steel 2. It's just going to be like, I don't know, Superman 3. That's not, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just going to be another Superman movie. Yeah.
I don't see them doing more Snyder Nolan stuff. I don't see it happening.
Yeah. Well, see, we might get to some of the other mid-credit and end-credit scenes here, but I wanted to wrap up with you by asking you like where this sits in your DCU ranking. So on the Aquaman commentary, I recently ran down my ranking. So I got BVS definitely the number 1. I got Man of Steel a close number 2.
Yeah.
Then there's a little bit of a gap, but then I have Wonder Woman as my number 3. I think that's a really solid movie all around. Then I have actually Shazam would be my number 4. And Aquaman is just a little bit behind it. In terms of, like, part of it is my family just loving this movie, and I really enjoy just going with the characters and having fun with this movie. So for me, Shazam is a little bit above Aquaman, but I think Aquaman is pretty solid too. And then for me at the bottom, I've got Justice League and then Shazam. And both of those are kind of bringing up the rear. I actually like both of those, though. I like Justice League, I like Suicide Squad, but they are, for me, they're, the bottom of the ranking. But what does it sound like for you, if having seen Shazam? Where does everything fit?
I'm not much of a ranker, but yeah, I think I can rank these movies: Batman versus Superman, Man of Steel, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, Shazam, Aquaman, Justice League.
Okay.
I think that's how that goes.
Yeah, that sounds good. And you have a lot of fondness for
Squad. It touched me, man. Like just that version of the Joker. Read Batman number 1. That is the Joker. Like that's him wearing like the 70s. Him wearing like the 30s era gangster outfit. It doesn't make any sense. Like it's iconically it's iconic. It's visually stunning. It doesn't actually make sense. Like, the only reason he was wearing that in Batman number 1 is because that's what a gangster would wear, and Joker is garish and outlandish, so he's wearing, like, a clown version of that costume. It doesn't make sense literally any other time in history. That's not necessarily true, actually. That would work for, like, 40 years. But him wearing that now, why is he wearing that? Like, in the new Joker movie, it makes sense. It seems to make sense in the context. In the Nolan movies, like, it makes sense in the context because he's not wearing like that outfit. He's wearing a modern version of that outfit. But in Ayer's version, dude, I'm sorry, it's what gangsters look like in certain areas. Like that's lots of tattoos, that kind of outfit. That's how the Joker would probably dress. I'm sorry, that was a huge tangent.
No,
but that's how I feel about that movie. Like it really captures a lot of cool shit. Like all these details, just like Deadshot's powers seem to have like really specific rules to how they work, and I just love it.
Yeah, and, I appreciate your positivity about Suicide Squad.
To tie into this movie, that movie establishes the idea of saying a magical name and transforming into a person because of Enchantress. I mean, it ties into this. Yeah.
Actually, great.
Yeah,
I can't believe we never mentioned that yet, but you're right. Yeah, it totally connects.
I brought it up.
Yeah.
I know it's in the Suicide Squad. That's why I know I brought that up.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that movie gets no love. I was doing Ubers last night. I was dropping off food. Somebody was watching. He was like, "Dude, yes, that movie rules." And they're like, "Okay, thanks. Thank you for the food." Actually, something about Suicide Squad in this movie is that teens. I guess your kids like this movie. Anytime I talk to teenagers, I'll ask them. Well, I mean, in 2016, if I ran into teenagers, and I did, you do. I don't know.
Yeah.
Doing adult stuff. I don't know. But I'd just be like, "What are you watching? What are you into?" And like they all like Suicide Squad. So
yeah. I've got a cousin who like at the time was like 12, and he literally said Suicide Squad is his favorite movie, like of his life, his 12-year-old life. Yeah.
Dude, he love it. So I don't know, man. I'm excited to see. That's what I'm looking forward to the most. I'm more excited to see The Suicide Squad than I would be to see Man of Steel 2. That's weird, but that's just the weird turn this franchise has taken.
Yeah.
Someday I'll get over them firing Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
Not.
Well, the last thing here, there was a Mr. Mind, mid-credit scene. Do you have any quick thoughts here to wrap up about Mr. Mind, or?
No, I just like him because of Kingdom Come. I don't actually know that much about him. So I'm interested to see more of him. I screwed up. I should have read a bunch of Shazam comics. I've been reading Question comics all week. I found a bunch of Question comics, so I was reading like the original run of Blue Beetle, and then the Denny O'Neil Question from the year I was born. Actually, the first issue of Question came out in February 1987. That's when I was born, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, I wasted all that time. I should have been reading Shazam comics, or at least reread Kingdom Come, and I didn't. So I don't know. All I have to say is I'm looking forward to more Mr. Mind because he is an interesting villain. He's a bug.
Yeah.
He's a bug full speaking box.
Yeah. I think it's cool. Like I think most of the general public will have never heard of it before at all and be like, what? Really? There's a, caterpillar alien who, has mind control powers or something. But I think it could be really cool, and I think it could really fit the tone of this movie, right? Because in this movie, the kind of, the premise that was really fun and that they played around with was teenager gets powers and plays around and tries things out and stuff and gets to be an adult. And in that one, they could have a lot of fun with, there's mind control. So, like, what are people going to do when they're under mind control, and how do they get out of it, and how do they recognize it and stuff? And, do they think somebody's under mind control, but they're actually not, and that could be like a gag and stuff. So I think it could definitely fit into, as a tone-wise sequel to this movie. So I'm looking forward to that. And especially if Mr. Mind is teaming up with Sivana, then you can have Sivana around again, and then do a Black Adam movie separately, and then in Shazam 3, you can have Black Adam come together. So that's right there. That's a really nice package of, like, 4 movies. And even if we just got those 4 movies, I would be really happy. Like, that's great. We got, like, 4 movies that all build a nice Shazam world.
And they've carved out a nice little chunk of this universe for Shazam. I mean, you got 6 members of the Shazam family. I mean, damn. Yeah, I'm looking forward to more Shazam movies. I am looking forward to more. What's the next DC movie? What's the next one that's supposed to come out?
Well, it'll be Birds of Prey will be the next one that's, like, in continuity.
What about Wonder Woman?
That'll be after that. They moved it back to June of 2020.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, good. I'm looking forward to Birds of Prey too. Yeah, that's going to be okay. Cool. I wonder if Jared Leto's in that, because I know Joker's in it.
They have. It looks like Joker is kind of like in the background, and they have like a lookalike,
It's the only thing is the movie is called The Birds of Prey or The Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn, and that implies to me that Joker is part of that story, because who's she's emancipating herself from, outside of course, Amanda Waller, but like obviously the Joker's part of that.
Yeah.
These more Jared Leto Joker things. May I have another?
I would love to see him again. I also liked his Joker quite a bit, and I would like to see him again. Read
Batman. Like the first time you see Joker, like he's not smiling, he's pissed off. Like he's perfect. Like that's everybody's favorite Joker is Heath Ledger or Mark Hamill. And you're not wrong for saying that, but just Jared Leto really captures something about the original Joker that no other Joker has, and it makes me so mad that all anybody can see is a freaking damage tattoo. Which I'm sorry, it's something the Joker would do. It's something the Joker would do. If you don't think that's something the Joker would do, read more comics.
Yeah, I know a lot of people too talk about the Brian Azzarello Joker book too, kind of connecting a lot with the Jared Leto version. But yeah, hopefully he comes around. Hopefully they can work it out in Birds of Prey.
It was fun. Thanks for letting me join you for the Shazam commentary. I'm looking forward to. I'm calling Birds of Prey. I want to do Birds of Prey. I'm calling it now.
Yeah. Well, it's in the Suicide Squad, realm of the DCEU. So that's definitely why we brought you on, is to represent some positivity towards Suicide Squad and stuff. So Birds of Prey would be good. Here's a nice little connection to Aquaman.
Job, isn't it? I was just like, I'll do it.
Well, yeah, you were engaging with us online and bringing some insights into Suicide Squad that we had missed, and you were positive about it. And I always try to keep things positive as much as I can, so that works. And I by the way, I like this too with the little connection to Aquaman, especially since this was the movie right after Aquaman, and where Aquaman did command all of these sea creatures at the end. So I like that they just threw that in there as another little, they gave some Batman and Superman stuff in the movie, and then a little bit of a nod to Aquaman at the end. So Overall good, but yeah, this was a lot of fun, man. Thanks for doing it with me, and I will see you on the Man of Steel analysis, though, in the near future.